Our next speaker is David Bryant. David founded the Smoky Mountain Cattle Consulting in 2004. He's a fifth-generation cattle farmer, and he noticed a need in the agriculture community of the Southeast United States for reliable access to the best innovation in the field. David is going to discuss seeds, seeding rates, the Aitchison drill, which we do have back in the back. And, after we eat, or, after all the presentations are done, we will turn the back lights back on. We have them off because we have one ballast that makes a lot of noise, and you would not appreciate that one bit. So we had to turn those back lights off. So as soon as David gets few things handed out right here, and I think he's going to share some things with you. David, it's all yours.
All right, thank you. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to pass some different parts around for the Aitchison drill, and I'm going to talk about it in a minute. And if it doesn't get to you, then raise your hand and whatever, and we'll get it around. So it'll make more sense in a minute. Thank you all for coming. So my name, like they said, is David Bryant. I'm based in East Tennessee and cover the Southeast U.S. And I work primarily with producers, mainly cattle producers, veterinarians, and then land-grant universities. And so we're a product representative for these different companies. But today, to simplify everything, we're going to talk about two things. One are seeds, and the other is the drill in the back. So Southeast Agri-Seeds, which Plastic Innovations is a dealer of, is based in Rome, Georgia, so northwest Georgia. And we have cool and warm season perennials and annuals, mixes, legumes, brassicas, and forbs. What's already been talked about some today is Ray's Crazy Mix, which is a kind of an homage to a guy that worked and is fairly well known for USDA named Ray Archuleta. He had developed, this isn't his exact mix, but we have a summer mix and a fall mix. That mix is on here, so it's percentages. It's on this banner over here as well to everybody's right. So it has cowpeas in it, sorghum sudan, radishes, millet, another version of sorghum sudan, or some people call it sudex, sunflowers, and then turnips. So my take-home point for talking about that, and also can speak on clovers, and people have been frost seeding clovers probably recently, is this, and that's going to be on inoculant, and then we're going to segue into the drill. But I assume many people in here have used legumes of some form or fashion, and most everybody is inoculated, right? Can we raise our hands? Yes, no, maybe, maybe not. So, do many people know why that is? Anybody can talk. This doesn't just have to be me. So why do you inoculate? Does anybody know? Nitrogen fixation. He's right. All right. So a misnomer is that legumes, okay, fix nitrogen, right? And why I say it's a misnomer is that's not true, okay? There's a caveat with that. It's like saying that a cow digests forage. That's not true either, right? You have to have something in the middle of that storyline. And for legumes, that's an inoculant, okay? So, and what the cow story is you're not feeding the cow, right? You're feeding the microorganisms that live in the room in the first compartment of the stomach, which then feed the cute little bovines, right? So, with inoculant, to be more specific, we're talking about something, a bacteria called Ryosia. And so that's a bacteria that, and there are different types, that have to be attached to the seed before it is planted, okay? So if you plant clover, cowpeas, soybeans, alfalfa without that, will it grow? Yes. But will it look like something terrible has happened? Yes, okay? Like somebody will get a phone call of what is wrong with this, something's going on. It'll look like you sprayed it with, a light mist of 2,4-D or, another chemical. It will not be a good day. So what happens is though the Rheosia bacteria infiltrates through the hairs as the seedling emerges and lives between the dermis, the skin of the plant, and the tissue of the plant. And so that is actually what's fixing nitrogen. So the air is 78% nitrogen that we're breathing right now. And then it's converting that into ammonia that the plant can use. And obviously all of us probably in here have spread some type of fertilizer, ammonia-based kind of stuff. So that makes it useful. Another take-home point is this, is there are different types of inoculant based on what you're going to plant, what that legume is. And so for the raised mix with the cowpeas, we're using a peanut inoculant. And then there are others. So real quick on inoculants, there are 3 commercial ways that they are applied. One is dry, wet, and then lastly is freeze-dried. Also, some folks look at clovers, and there are other products that are pre-inoculated, and that is true, and we sell some. And that means that they've bound that inoculant within some other protective coatings to that clover, and then it's planted. So with that, you're very safe, but many products are not pre-inoculated. A lot of people ask why. So the inoculant is live or freeze-dried, so that bacteria is active and it has an expiration date, just like inoculants or vaccines, since that's a kind of a key word lately, that you have. They have an expiration date. And so it's great if you get the inoculant. It's going to be in a separate bag and refrigerate it, so protect it from light and heat. So moving on to the drill and to segue to that, so you can, with raised mix, broadcast it. And it's 50 pounds to the acre. And so we simplified it, put, one bag to the acre. So the drill, if you do not want to broadcast it, so the best solution to seeding anything is seed to soil contact, right? And to ensure that. And with a mix, with a blend, you don't want to have seed sorting. So the drills that everybody in here, unless they're from out of North America, have grown up with are a traditional no-till drill that's a glorified soybean drill. Meaning it was originally, on day one, a soybean drill, and then somebody got a bright idea, no matter who makes it, if it's based in the U.S., to modify 2 or 3 things and then have a light bulb moment and say, oh, we could just use this as a no-till pasture drill. So the drill in the back is a purpose-built forage drill that originates in New Zealand and is made there today. The one in the back is a 7-foot, and I have a 9-foot out on a trailer that's going to be delivered. But we also have larger versions as well. They're very simple, very rugged, and they don't take a lot of tractor horsepower. So the parts I'm passing around, this drill is different in 2 main ways. And the 2 main ways are the parts I'm passing around. One is the inverted T boot, that's a heavy piece of cast iron, it looks like. The other one, the other part is the seed delivery system, and that is a foam disc drive instead of a flow gate. And so in other drills, other competitive drills based here in the United States, that is why you have seed sorting, because you have different seed densities with whatever that blend is. even if that's fescue and clover, just a real simplistic thing, you're going to have seed sorting because that flow gate is open all the time, no matter if you're drilling seed or not. That flow gate, you set it at the barn and then you drive out to the pasture, or even if you set it in the pasture, every time, whether you pick up the drill or set it down, it's always open and you're always allowing for seed sorting. With the foam disc drive that you see, when you pick up the drill, it doesn't rotate, but when you set the drill down and whatever speed you're driving, then it's spinning. And it doesn't actually come away from that seed piece that's the plastic piece that's a funnel. If you look at the funnel, it tapers down to have no gap. And so the seed, no matter its size, from a mustard seed to a corn seed, indents into that foam disc drive. And so there's no exit to the drill at any time based on that the seed is flowing into that foam disc drive at the rate that it's spinning. So that's one unique feature. The other unique feature is the T-boot. And so in the soil profile, it makes this top left photo here, or an hourglass or an inverted magnifying glass, some people say. So the weight of the drill is on that boot. And so at the bottom here, there we go, the weight of the drill is compressing this soil structure right here. So that creates excellent seed to soil contact because you have a lot of capillary action pulling water up to that point where the seed is going to be. Also here, you can look at the drill. So it's actually putting the seed in the ground. It's not falling through the air, and if there's a crosswind, then it blows the seed, onto the top of the ground and not in the V-notch that a lot of double disc opener drills are making. So this boot is on a coiled tine that aerates the soil profile as it travels through it. It's on a 1-inch solid coiled tine. The purpose of these wings is to cut competing root structure. So it's actually going to clip that root structure to take away from, on the left and the right of the new seedlings, those competitive plants' ability to pull water and nutrients from the soil. So also something else that's unique is our seed tubes. I don't know why anybody else doesn't do this, but the inside of the seed tube, though the outside is corrugated because it moves in whatever fashion to get the seed down to the seed tube, the inside is not corrugated. It's smooth. And so you have seed flow, whereas a lot of other competitive drills, they're corrugated just like on the outside, on the inside. So there are 3 wear parts, and like Mike talked about earlier, this drill is for rent, but there are only 3 wear parts for the drill. The foam disc that you're passing around is $35. That includes the backing plate. A lot of people will replace that, just the foam disc, and spray it with new adhesive and go on, buy it from Hobby Lobby or whatever. The coulter is $45 and the T-boot is $60. And that's the expenses of the drill. Like, if you want something expensive to maintain, this is not it. Also, you can run this drill. A lot of people don't believe me, but the faster you run it, the better it does. And so you can run it 6 to 9 miles an hour. So hopefully I may be caught up with time, and then I can answer any questions, both whether it's on seed or the drill. So, but that is it. So, what's that? Oh.
Mention about seeding crabgrass.
Yes.
And alone or with other seeds.
So, yeah, good question. So if I were going to just seed crabgrass as a monoculture on top of an existing fescue stand, anything like that, I would just broadcast it, 4 to 6 pounds per acre. Also, I missed this, but we passed out the current seed manuals for everybody, and they have Mike's card on them. If it's going to be blended, which we do custom blend seed all the time, and we blended this ourselves that's over here, then we could put that blend of crabgrass with whatever you would want. And you can come up with your own blend. If we have a blend that you do not like, then, that's fine. You can call myself or Mike and say, hey, I want a custom blend. It's going to be, ABC, beef cattle farm blend, just like it was a feed blend, and we would blend that for you. And there's no minimum to that as well.
Right.
So, the 7 foot is a little bit under $16,000. The 9 foot is a little under 20. It is on 6-inch rows, so a lot tighter than traditional no-till drills that you're used to here. So, and then horsepower for that, you're looking at about 50 horsepower for the 7 foot. So because it doesn't weigh a lot, that drill there weighs about 1,500 pounds. But if you would go buy a competitive or use a competitive like NRCS has, their 7 foot drill, it's going to weigh more than twice that. So it's going to need more tractor horsepower. So, great question. So, yes, sir.
What is your grass height?
Great.
Cattle in there to raise it down a little bit, or?
You could do it either way. Ideally, so the front coulters, the purpose of those coulters is to cut through live trash, live sod. If you're seeding into it has an adjustable third link, and if you are seeding into a prepared field bed, you don't need it. But to answer your question directly, it can be any height. I've had people drill into, especially for annuals, drill into pasture that is as tall as the cab of the tractor with that drill, and then they'll go back and bush hog it or let them graze it or mob graze it, whatever they can do. If you cut the material down and there's a lot of top thatch, that's an excellent rake. And it will rake that material from here till Knoxville, right? I mean, it will be a big ball of a mess. But if you go in and drill it with that material, 2 feet high, 6 inches high, or 8 feet high, the drill will do great. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it'll work phenomenally well. So, yes, sir.
David, I had the opportunity last fall to use.
Hang on just a minute. Hang on just a minute. Could have done this earlier.
It's not that important.
David, last fall, I had an opportunity to use a conventional drill because Mike hadn't gotten your drill in.
Right.
And as soon as he got it, I think I was the second one maybe that used it. And I'm in total agreement with everything about your drill. But a question I have, and this might be a good something for somebody working on a PhD or a master's or something. Have you ever planted with the two drills side by side and done a seed count or germination count and count the plants that you get in a length of time?
Yes.
Because the reason I'm asking that is that I had a well-respected extension agent a couple of weeks ago that came to the farm, and he was not from this area, and just making some observations between the field that had planted with the conventional drill and yours. And he said, Vaughn, he said with the conventional drill, he said most people would consider that a good stand. But he said there's a difference between night and day between the conventional drill and the Aitchison drill. So really what it's about is the number of plants that we get
Right.
in a length of time.
At
And
the
I was
end of the day.
Right.
That's right, yes, sir. So the answer is yes. So I should have said this at the beginning. This drill has been imported to the United States, North America, for about 35 years. It's been made for about 50 years. And so the answer to your question is yes. And so though nobody would believe me standing up here in the point of that I'm attempting to sell something, but because at the end of the day I really don't want to. But I have a lot of producers who have this drill that use 25% less seed than what is recommended. So we've got to kind of look back in time a little bit. And
If I can interrupt you, that was the figure that the extension agent
Yeah.
did, was that there was a 25% better stand with your drill than with the other.
so he just said the extension agent said that you know, there's a 25% better stand. I know Vaughn, but I have no idea what extension agent he's talking about. So the reason is that what happens here in this biosphere, if you want to call it that, has phenomenal impact on the agronomics of the seed, better than the double disc opener drill. And like, let's take fescue, something simple that everybody knows about, right? Everybody says, okay, you should do 25 to 35 pounds per acre in establishing it or reseeding it, right? Okay, good. All right, everybody needs a prize. However, all those figures that anybody here in the U.S. has done is, again, been using a double disc opener drill that originated here, that's a glorified soybean drill that was never meant to do that job from day one. So that's how we can do that, and that's how, so yeah, universities over in New Zealand and Australia, and I have the University of Georgia has done an exact side-by-side test. I did it about 4 or 5 years ago. Actually, it was one of the years that we had a horrific drought here in the southeast. And the drill would go in the ground in the summer more than a double disc opener drill would, because the face of the boot is this plate right here is tungsten, the face of it, and it will never wear out in probably 10 lifetimes, okay? No matter how much you use it. What will wear down are the wings of this boot for the functionality of it to give it the agronomics. The more clay you have, the less wear you will have. The more sand you have, it is like sandblasting the nigh hard casting. So that boot will last about, in this area, in Northeast Tennessee, it'll last about 5,000 or 6,000 acres without doing any maintenance on the drill, okay, on that. But yes, to answer Vaughn's question, yes, there's been a lot of side-by-side research, and I'm working on some more, especially now that mixes are becoming more and more popular, or in the limelight, I guess, though they've been around. But more and more folks are talking about it. So we're going to look at doing a study with Auburn to do a side-by-side comparison of summer annuals, winter annuals, et cetera, which they're in the deeper south, they use a lot of winter annuals, and because they can graze a longer time. And so to look at that and weight gain, performance, a lot of things. So I appreciate that comment. So,
Well,
yes,
one
sir.
of the things that attracts me to this particular drill is the fact that no-till drills that we have available, you can plant up 3 seeds.
Correct.
If you want to do more, you're going back over the field again.
Yes, sir.
You could put up to, I don't know, 15 or 20.
Yeah, I've had guys do 20 seeds in this, and it doesn't separate out. And I know I sound like I'm standing on an infomercial here on television. I get that it sounds nuts, because I've done it the other way. Before I had access to this, and these guys came to me and said, hey, would you want to do this? I actually, in the operation we ran with the 5th generation shindig, right, a tie no-till drill. And my grandfather bought it, et cetera, et cetera. It's a great drill, had to work on it a fair amount, but, you know, but once you do this, you'll never go back. It's kind of like a cell phone. How do we get along, or how did we do this before? So.
Since the drill is lighter, does that affect how much sand you can get into the pasture?
Yeah, so you can go into the field because you don't have the weight, and also in wet conditions, it will go in where you could never do that or dream of doing that with a double disc opener drill, because you've probably had double disc opener drills ball up with mud if it's too wet.
When I planted mine, I got caught in the rain, and
Yeah.
I had planted thinking none would come up or what have you, but got a perfect stand.
Yeah. So this can do a lot of things that a lot of folks, you just can't imagine, because you're on this one path, and then these folks in the little South Pacific Islands, you know, invented a deal for the purpose of a forage-based system. But But to be fair, that's all they have. They can't call a feed truck, right? Like we have the opportunity here in the U.S. If we run out of feed, they can't do that. That's all they have is forage. Where we have all these commodities and et cetera, et cetera. So that's, the necessity is the mother of invention, phrase is, I think, where a lot of that came from. So, yes, sir.
No matter what kind of drill we're talking about.
Yes, sir.
What about soil temperature when they're optimum temperatures to plant?
Exactly. So for summer annuals, a good generalization is, and you're exactly right, whether you broadcast it or drill it with anybody's drill, it's going to be 60 to 65 degrees and rising soil temperature. And so then for cool season annuals or perennials, you're going to be in the 35 to 40 degrees. Some annuals can stand that colder. Triticale is a hybrid of wheat and rye that does excellent in this region all the way to New York and farther north even in Canada. It will germinate and grow right at freezing. It will actually continue to grow up to about 20 degrees Fahrenheit, which I know sounds crazy too, but I've seen it. But that's a great question because we're coming up to that time period. Of course, like somebody mentioned, it froze here just this weekend. So though the ambient air temperature outside right now might be 78 degrees, but you don't want to go and plant that right now or, that kind of deal. However, the caveat to that on a cute story, sort of, about crabgrass is I've had guys hold over crabgrass and thinking that it was clover because the seed's about the same size. It comes in 25-pound bags, right? And so I've had people frost seed crabgrass unintentionally, right? Okay. But they grabbed the wrong bag, an employee grabbed the wrong bag, whatever. And no, I'm not suggesting to do that. But crabgrass seed is a massively hardy seed. I mean, it's a very hard seed, and I would say that it can even go through the digestive tract of a ruminant, and it's pretty good, And it'll germinate. And so anyway, then they had no clover stand from their frost seeding, but they had a crabgrass stand come June. That was pretty amazing. So, and also the seeding rate is very similar, of crabgrass and clovers, et cetera, based on what type of clovers we're talking about, perennials or annuals. But great question. So,
All right, David.
all right, thank y'all. I'll be here and appreciate everything.
Good job. Am I on now? Okay. Good job, David. Thank you very much. That's very interesting. And I'm going to say one thing about that drill. I have used, I don't know, in my almost 40-year career with NRCS, I guess I've calibrated 4 or 5 different drills. And every time I thought about I had to do that, I just cringed. I did not like it. This one here took about 5 minutes. It was the easiest drill to do. One more thing I'm going to say about the drill is when we purchase it, we do not have any hydraulic hoses on it. So you do not have to have hydraulics to use this drill, okay? And that was something I think important to us because I know there's a lot of landowners that have tractors that do not have hydraulics on the back.